Hello and welcome to the agenda. I'm Ajay Kaul. Today we will analyze the situation 1 year after the Galwan clash on the Ladakh border with China. On this day, a year back, 20 Indian soldiers gave their lives in Galwan Valley in order to protect the country's sovereignty in the face of a challenge from China. An unspecified number of Chinese soldiers also died in the physical clash on that night in the mountains of the Ladakh border. But China has revealed the details only partially. The clash was the worst face-off between the armies of the two countries in over 4 decades. So what has changed in this year? We will try to analyze this in the agenda today. We have with us retired Major General of Indian Army, Ashwini Sivach, and retired Group Captain of Indian Air Force, M.J. Augustine Vinod. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
A year back on this day, the Galwan Valley on the Ladakh border saw a violent physical clash between troops of India and China. The clash erupted after Indian soldiers prevented Chinese troops from advancing and changing the line of actual control. The physical fight, in which the Chinese troops used unorthodox weapons, led to the death of 20 Indian soldiers. The Chinese army also lost an unspecified number of soldiers, but it never released full details of the casualties on its side, unlike the Indian side. Months after the clash, in February this year, China acknowledged for the first time that it lost 5 military officers and soldiers, but the actual casualty figures is believed to be much higher than that. This was the worst military face-off between the two countries in 45 years and led to escalation in tensions. The clash took place almost 1.5 months after China launched military aggression against India at various places along the line of actual control in the eastern Ladakh sector. As China mobilized thousands of troops at the border, India matched up with mirror deployment of forces. Amidst heightened tensions, the two countries held talks at various levels, including at the level of Defense Minister, Foreign Minister and NSAs, to look at ways to defuse the situation. Military commanders also held 11 rounds of talks to discuss disengagement and de-escalation at the friction points. In February this year, the two sides reached an understanding on disengagement in the northern and south Pangong Lake area, where India had taken an advantageous position by surprising the Chinese on the night of August 29 last year. The disengagement was completed in 10 days. However, the eyeball-to-eyeball situation continues at various other friction points, including Depsang, Gogra Hills and Hot Springs. Bureau Report.
Now let's welcome our guests, Major General Sivach and Group Captain Augustine Vinod. Welcome to the program, both of you. So I'll first go to Major General Sivach. About 1 year of our anniversary of this unfortunate incident in Galwan Valley. So what has changed in 1 year? I think we are at the same stage. What do you say?
Ajay, the biggest change and the psyche of the country. The point today is that earlier we were thinking the Chinese are bigger than their life made, but after Galwan, that myth was broken and it was brought out very categorically. The Chinese can be also defeated. We lost 20 soldiers, but barehanded they managed to inflict heavy casualties on PLA. And the report of CIA and TASS, if you take it is more than 40 Chinese soldiers were killed. And remember, our soldiers were not even armed, and they barehanded managed to get the road and other weapons which Chinese have brought it, and we use that and managed to put them on a defense. The point today is the Chinese have backstabbed us. They came in eastern Ladakh. They occupied starting from Dapsang to Demchok. But in the same time, within 1 month, we managed to almost deploy 50 to 60,000 troops, eyeball to eyeball, and match gun with a gun and tank with a tank. And a situation came on 9th of 28th, 29th August, where in an offensive maneuver, we could occupy Kailash range, which was a game changer. It means we could dominate Kashmir, Moldova. The complete supply line which is coming to Moldova was under our interdiction. And as far as the Spangur gap from where the Chinese came in 1962 was in our control, we could go in China, but Chinese could not come. So we have shown to the world as well as China that India can go to any extent, and India is a better trained army than the Chinese conscription army, which is a single child army, which is not battle hardened. They do not have any experience of a war after 79. And therefore, whatever events have taken place, Galwan and thereafter, it shows that the Chinese were on a receiving end, and hence they agreed on a ceasefire as well as they wanted disengagement, de-escalation, and de-induction. And it is to be taken place in phase manner. In phase one, they agreed to go from finger 4 to finger 8, and we agreed to vacate Kailash range. So overall, what I want to just convey is that what we have gained in this 1 year, that our complete mindset of Indian Army and the nation has changed. We are now showing that we have an offensive spirit, and Chinese are invincible. The whole world is watching us, and it shows if anyone who can look into the Chinese eyes, it is Indians which can do it. And it also shows if there is a full-fledged war, this will be anyone's game, but Indians will certainly will inflict heavy casualties on PLA, which they now know it, that Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Indian Navy, they are far capable, far more advanced and far more trained and far more motivated and battle hardened to give a befitting reply to Chinese should full-fledged war take place between both these nations.
Yeah. So, Group Captain Vinod, what are the lessons that have been learned since 1 year?
For 1 year, Ajay, we've been discussing about this. And like General covered, we had great tactical advantage, especially when we proactively went and captured those planes and those fields. If you look at the lay of the land, as far as LSE is concerned, we have a kind of a protrusion into the plains from where the armored battle can take place. And also we are overlooking towards the plains of Hotan, the southernmost portions of Taklamakan region, the Tarim Basin as it is called. So currently, even today, we are holding that advantage. I mean, that advantage hasn't gone away from us. But post, I would say 1950s, we sort of, kept pushing this problem under the carpet, and we never really talked about it. And Chinese also, like, as the famous words army users called salami slice, they also kept nibbling and coming into our territory. Somewhere down the road, we had to call their bluff, and we did, for which we paid heavy price. 20 soldiers from our side, nearly 43 soldiers from their side, unconfirmed. And a lot of bridges were burned in this process, and a lot of water went below the bridge. But the point is, like we discussed the last time when we came around, the point is did we falter somewhere? Did we fall for the Chinese rules? Because today it emerged that Depsang, they have created certain fortified structures in Depsang, and they are holding Depsang in numbers for the first time ever since 47. They have replaced their ranger troops, which is the sons of soil troops, from the regular army.
Yeah.
And from Chinese are concerned. So they are here for the long haul. And the reason we all know, the reason is their economy and their bloodline is going to flow through north of these places, and they can't risk it. So all the more reason they will show us their true colors in the times to come. how we play out from now on will depend how we emerge in a couple of years to come as far as China is concerned. We have to wait and watch.
But Group
I
Captain,
wouldn't jump the gun.
apparently Chinese seem to suggest now Depsang is, India should forget about Depsang. Maybe we can talk about Gogra and other hot spring. What do you say?
Yeah. Well, I also feel so because it's not easy to Depsang se unko khadedna आसान नहीं होगा. We don't have a bargaining chip currently, Ajay. For us to throw them out of Depsang, हमारे हाथ में कोई पत्ता नहीं है.
Right.
जो पत्ते थे हम खेल चुके हैं. We have played our cards.
Right.
And now it is open clash. Now it all depends.
So General Sivaj, हम अपने पत्ते खेल चुके हैं, as Group Captain says, and I will tend to agree. So what should be done to, push out Chinese from Depsang?
See, there is no doubt about it. As far as Chinese are concerned, you cannot believe them what they say. They go 2 steps ahead and 1 step back. So therefore, there is no doubt.
But why should we believe them? So that is the fault we are making. Why should we believe? We should not believe them at all.
Absolutely.
After the treachery.
Something. I just want to drive a point home.
Yeah.
That we wanted to have a comprehensive disengagement wherein India and China agreed that in phase 1 it will be north and south of Pangangzhou, and phase 2 it will be Gogra, Hot Spring, and phase 3 possibly will be Depsang. But after what we have vacated Kailash range in phase 1, we have almost given up the leverage which we had. So therefore, the trump card was a Kailash range, and that is where the Chinese agreed to disengage from north of Pangangzhou. This point must be understood because this was a game changer. What we did on night of 29th and 30th August by occupying the Kailash range. The importance of Kailash range is very significant both for India and also for Chinese. By occupying Kailash range, we could go towards Chinese side and Chinese could not come through Spangur Gap. So that was a game changer. But we thought that the Chinese will abide by that. They will in phase 2 vacate Gogra, Hot Spring, and in phase 3 that will happen in Depsang. But it does not seem it is happening. They are doing dilly-dally. At the same time, they are putting tremendous psychological pressure. They are now building up their strength in Rudok, which is about 100 kilometers in depth. And they are indirectly trying to convey that they are not going to go back even an inch from Depsang. That is a very important, message which they are sending. And the type of pressure which they are building up in Rudok, it means they have brought out their artillery, S-400 air defense system. They have got the best of the tanks, their light tanks, they have been brought. Then thereafter, they have upgraded all their airfield very close to line of control. They are now flying J-20, J-17, J-16, and they are indirectly putting a pressure on India. That is a different thing. We are not coming under pressure. But to me, it looks like that vacating Kailash range in phase 1 was slightly a mistake. We should have waited till they have gone back from Depsang. Then only we should have vacated Kailash range. Having vacated Kailash range, we do not have a trump card. We do not have leverage. We are only believing what Chinese will do, but Chinese will not. Now, Depsang is strategically important to both. Chinese feel that occupying Depsang, it gives them a strategic depth as far as Exide is concerned, and their western highway going from Xinjiang to Lhasa, and they can directly address Nubra Valley and Sitan Glacier bypassing DBO. So that is the advantage they get it. Whereas if we manage them to go behind and at the line which they were there prior to April 2020, then, the point is that Indians are in a far better position. There is a breather space. Now, this is the only sector where there can be collusion. The Chinese from the east, from Exide, and Pakistani from west, from Gilgit-Baltistan, can sandwich your Nubra Valley and Sitan Glacier. That is the biggest threat. If you remember, Ajay, the 2 divisions strength was also there in Skardu of Chinese, as well as J-16 and J-11 are also operating from Skardu airfield. Now, this is the threat which is looming very large, and this is what we have to analyze. how do we force the Chinese to go back from Depthang?
Right.
I fully agree on your one point. What will happen after a lot of discussion talks? They will agree to go back from Gogra and Hot Spring because it does not have that much strategic importance, but they will be reluctant and they have to be forced upon to go from Depthang in time to come. Otherwise, they will not go of their own because it gives them a huge strategic advantage.
Right. About, as you heard General Saab, he was saying about bigger challenge, which I will tend to agree that there could be a bigger challenge for India. And as I know that with regard to Pakistan, we have always applied, I mean, over last 2 decades or so, we have applied a policy of trust but verify. But with regard to China, apparently we don't apply that yardstick or that policy. Is it now too late?
Two things, Ajay.
Yeah.
Depthang Valley and the Depthang Plains especially has a great technical advantage because it can address not only like General covered through the Stoke, the Nubra Valley. Towards north, it can go up to Siachen. And this side, the road which is going right down to Demchok Pukche, it can address even that. Being an Air Force man, I have spent a lot of time there. I mean, I'm supposed to spend time in air. I've climbed few peaks. So, Tokangri and all I've scaled. So, with that as a background, I'm saying current A
upper sleeve, and I want to tell General that rest assured, sir, A's upper sleeve that we have is the air power, and वो कहीं नहीं गया है. In whatever happens, the air power of ours is, if I may, give a number to it, it is at least 4 to 5x better in India, and therefore he will dare not do anything because we will pick and choose and be able to kill them.
Yeah, Group Captain, but you are talking about Air Force, air power, so I tend to agree. But the issue is, when do we use air power? Like, I will equate this situation with the Kargil 1999 when all those intruders came and occupied those heights. So it's almost similar. At that time, Pakistan occupied the Kargil heights. Now Chinese have occupied this Dapsang area. So when is air power to be used?
First bullet fired, Ajay, air power will get used. If you remember that Tiger Hill and Tololing, I was part of 7th Squadron Mirage 2000 at that time. When the air power started getting applied, you started seeing that peaks after peaks fell flat and fell very fast. And Pakistanis couldn't do much about it because in the limited intensity conflict area, when the fight is limited in an area, what happens is the complete air power doesn't get applied from both the sides. It is kind of a restrained application of air power. In our case, what happens is he has Hokam and
lower to apply for. We have slightly better weapons to apply because we have recently gone in for, as you know,
But at that time there was a difference in Kargil. I mean, the Pakistanis did not have the air defense mechanisms. Chinese will be using that.
What happened? Here also, I totally agree with General when he said the better air defense systems are here. But what we have today, which we did not have at that time, is standoff weapons like air-to-surface BrahMos and standoff weapons which Rafale processes and Spice 2000, which we didn't have during Kargil. ये weapons जो हैं, they can remain behind the mountain shadow and fire and go back, and those aeroplanes will not even get picked up in the Chinese radar. अगर Chinese radar में हमारा जहाज नहीं आएगा तो किसके खिलाफ फायरिंग करें? So that is the biggest advantage today we possess, and I hope they try something here and they'll get a bloody nose. इसमें not because I'm Indian I'm saying this, just because as a military mind I'm saying this, because यहाँ पे जो ranges हैं, the hill ranges, the terrain is with us, the terrain is against them. That is a big, terrain को आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, आप खोद नहीं सकते हैं terrain को.
Right.
And they are sitting at much higher plains. We are, apart from these Kailash range, I agree with General, that we vacated, but there are other ranges in which we are sitting tight, sitting pretty, as far as ground is concerned, and as far as air is concerned, in any case, we have the vertical envelope capability. But there is one important point, Ajay, just as the last thing I must say.
Yeah.
This area is not tactically advantageous area for Chinese. Yes, he wants to prove a point, is fine. But from here, where will he go? Even he can't even reach toys for next 15, 20 days if the push comes to shove. And toys is after 3-4 ranges. And toys maybe wants ke kar kya lega.
But they can operate from Skardu, na? They can operate from Skardu. What do you say?
No, I agree. Even Skardu and Gilgit also, they are not. They are called FOBs. Forward operating base.
Yeah.
They are not a full-fledged air bases. So Pakistani's design नहीं ऐसा है कि they will come to FOB, refuel and immediately take off. अगर FOB में रुक गए, they will get plastered in no time because FOB is too close to the border. Right. Even our case also, like Pathankot and all are FOB. They are not like full-fledged bases. You understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Because of the proximity to border.
Yeah.
So Skardu Gilgit का जो importance है, वो कुछ हद तक ही है, not much.
Okay.
So if we play well, we'll be able to play. We have to play well. That is the most important.
So that is the most important thing, that we have to play well. So General Sivach, as we look back 1 year, you want to say something, Group Captain?
No, sir.
Okay. So General Sivach, now when we look back, I mean, leave alone, far from the de-escalation and disengagement, I mean, the build-up is still continuing. So do you think there is a bigger, maybe there could be a bigger flare-up or something?
Absolutely correct. You see, there is no doubt, Ajay, you can't put your guard down as far as Chinese are concerned. They are in a big way improving their infrastructure and capacity building all over from Arunachal Pradesh to Ladakh. And as it is, there are almost 5 to 7 years ahead of us because they have built up highways up the line of actual control. Now they are building up villages which can be used even by the PLA during the war. Now, having said so, what we are trying to do is that we are fast catching them. Our road construction activity is moved up very far. What has changed is our mindset has changed. We have now realized our focus has to be now, instead of western border toward Pakistan, it has to be China. And therefore, we have to now ensure that our strike force, the three which were focusing toward Pakistan is an irritant. It is not, you can't even address it. It is a big enemy. It is the biggest threat can only develop from Chinese side. So therefore, the strike corps has to now face towards Chinese. And we have to now carry out more modernization of defense forces. The Indian Army has to modernize well. The strike corps, which was already halfway through, has to be completed. And one strike corps has to move from western to the northern. Then what we need is the light tanks we needed to face the Chinese in Ladakh. Then what we need is a better, missile, better rocket, which we already have. We are now procuring and getting them in this area. I feel the game changer in this against Chinese will be both air power and the naval power. Now, what the group captain was also trying to convey, I fully agree that the air power, India has an advantage to the extent that our airfields are lower heights. We can carry a more payload. And with the likes of Rafale, I think we have an edge over them.
But General, again, I'll again stress this point that air power will be used only when there is a war, full-fledged war, not before that. So, without going to war, how can we dislodge Chinese from Dipsang? That is the question.
No, the question, I agree with you. What you are trying to convey, it is a psychological warfare. It is a threat in being. If you are equally strong or stronger than Chinese, then they will respect you. No, point is, I fully agree that can you use a military power to force the Chinese to vacate Depsang? That's a mute question.
Yes.
Other than that, we have many other ways. Now, the point is, if we could do pro quo in night of 29th, 30th August and occupy Kalas range, I'm sure the Indian Army is aware of it. There are a number of other, areas we can do the same thing. Starting from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh, Indian Army looking toward that.
Right.
So there are many other methods, diplomatical, political.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more methods. So we have to conclude. I think Group Captain wants to make a point. Maybe
I just let me say, Ajay, just 15 seconds. I say in Navy, in Malacca state, the Chinese knows it will hurt them maximum. It is not that we are going to take, if they don't go by Depsang, we will use all our might. Whatever it is, their diplomatic.
I get your point that we should corner Chinese somewhere else.
Absolutely correct.
for a
Absolutely
bargaining
correct.
chip. Yeah, Group Captain, you want to say something?
Yeah, just 2 quick points, Ajay.
Yeah.
One and
We have 1
one and
minute.
first and foremost.
Yeah.
Yeah, first and foremost is if he takes here a space here,
Yeah.
he can bargain that as a quid pro quo for in the Arunachal Pradesh region.
Yeah.
That we have to keep in mind. Though this place may not be strategically very, very important, he can take place here and he will trade it for somewhere else.
Right.
इसको हमें मद्देनजर रखना ही पड़ेगा. And second and most important thing is never ever believe these Chinese. They will show you something, do something else.
Right.
हम लोग बहुत जल्दी विश्वास में आ जाते हैं, झांसे में आ जाते हैं. ये बात मुझे अभी खटकती है 1 साल, 1 year down the road.
I agree with you. Sir, हम झांसे में आ जाते हैं, and I think we झांसे में आ गए, so we actually lost the leverage. But the program time today is over. Thank you both of you for participating. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important and interesting topic same time tomorrow. Till then, take care and stay safe.